Yeah,
Shiny.
are we getting echo off of me like we have a couple of times before?
No, you're fine. Except for your face. It looks a lot worse than Nathan's down there.
I mean, I got this pouch of skin signifying I am getting older and fatter.
Yeah, yeah. Hi everyone, welcome to BeerThralls presents Beer Protocol. Um,
Hate you so much.
I'm James. I'm really drinking just soda. I had a long day yesterday, so
Uh, Hi, it's Jacob. This is not our first planned episode of the day, so I have nothing to drink. I have been betrayed.
and it clown.
Anyway, because I don't have video today, this is Nathan, and I am drinking heavily. No, Coke did a Coke and Jameson mixed a cocktail,
It's not bad.
and someone was very kind as to drop many off at my home, and I'm having one less.
It does sound vaguely like you did not consent to them dropping many of them off at your home. Like it was just a middle of the night package drop.
Drive
Pretty
by,
much.
drive by drinking. Gentlemen, cheers.
Take our alcohol. Yes, clink.
Um,
Clink.
let's talk about the Nova Open.
So last weekend, we were your TOs, judges, and event organizers for Nova Open's 2023 Marvel Crisis Protocol events. First off, big thank you to everyone who came out and played games with us. I think in terms of sheer attendance, we actually, for our main events and our tournaments, we had at least half full for the new team tournament for both days we ran it. And for our singles event, we had more than 20 people in both days.
Yeah,
So incredible.
yeah.
First time out.
Fantastic turnout for a
That was
first time out. And
absolutely.
the events don't happen without players. So thank you to our players who came.
Um,
Um,
also, congratulations, Nathan, on actually playing a game.
a couple of
Two,
games.
two.
And you taught.
Yeah. So on Thursday, our off day, Nathan went from here's our fun story to start with. So we were trying to get crisis kits for running ultimate encounters. And Nathan says, there's a Sentinels one, right? We were thinking about that stuff like, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Those usually come in the box of the model, right? Oh, yeah. Usually, I mean, Thanos and Dormammu did. Yeah, let's
Great
go get
saw.
Sentinels
Boom.
box. None of us thought to question him or check. So we wound up with a full Sentinels set with no event, to which case Nathan just said, oh, and then just started
Fuck it.
painting them. And by the end of the day, had fully painted Sentinels and the beginnings of his new Sentinels list. So kudos to Nathan for both tricking us into buying new Sentinels and then
I
having
paid
them.
for them.
he did pay for them himself.
I paid for them like a grown up.
But for the story, it's much funnier.
Oh yeah, no. Hey, go get me. Go get me Sentinels.
Mhm.
Um,
And then we did it.
and then you did it. And the worst part, I got, in all essence, I got tricked into actually playing. Um,
And made contacts with the Richmond people.
Hmm.
well, that's one of the things about Nova Open. Richmond is local, therefore, hey, look, let's make contacts in our local, vaguely local
Hmm.
meta. It was good stuff.
Um,
Oh, let's see what else happened.
there were tournaments. So we successfully ran I would say five tournaments.
6,
Five.
5, yeah.
This is we
Six.
ran two solo player tournaments and a finals drawing from the top players of both events, and we ran two team tournaments. Both were some experimental formats. Well, singles tournament, I think we all kind of agree how should be run. But I'll talk a little bit about the team tournament up front and kind of our takeaways. The team tournament overall, I feel like was a success, with an important caveat for us to learn from. Overall, players were able to figure out how to create teams, pair with their opponents, trade defender and attacker positions, and try to get advantages on the tabletop. Our biggest area, so I'll say first positive note, after the first round, everyone seemed to grok how that works and clocked roughly how that was going to go. We didn't really have to explain it too much, and people said they had fun doing it. So overall, the defender and attacker pairing seemed like a great idea and worked out for the rules we had for that part of the game. Our negative point for that is the final scoring we need to work on. We had tried a different space scoring approach where there were roughly 60 team points up for grabs each match. And depending on what the margin between your score and your opponent's score, you were awarded a number of those points, incentivizing bigger margins, with the idea being to
Go
have
hard, go hard or go home.
Yeah.
to go hard, but also to incentivize teams to pair lists they thought would counter or otherwise really have a strong advantage against one team or the other. Um, in actuality, this led to probably our biggest learning of the entire weekend is we need to do a better job of managing player expectations with the way we run the event, and doing a better job of predicting what players are going to want and understand quickly, and then finding ways to make sure that is how things play out. So the team scoring was not well reflected on Longshanks. It still isn't. Longshanks was our tournament method, our tournament program of choice, but the Longshanks simply counts total wins for a team event. Of one team's going to get 2 wins, and then the other team has maybe 1 or none. It's best 2 out of 3. It doesn't have an alternate scoring system. So that disconnect between how it looks for one scoring system versus the one that we were using that incentivized different things led to a lot of confusion and some very genuine irritation and sort of disquiet with how things played out. So mitigation for what we want to do going forward for future events is either come up with a scoring system that can be easily represented for players to verify and make sure it makes sense for everyone so they know going in what the expectation is, or maybe just for pure simplicity figure out, can we just run, is it still okay just to run the best 2 out of 3
Right.
method so it pairs up with the online system. So I like the idea of the alternate scoring system. Just in practice it doesn't seem like it worked particularly well.
I kind of like it too because it incentivized people to um, not only play for the win, but play for the big win.
Mm.
And we actually did have people like it tied because even though they won by such a small margin, um, that it was literally a tie in the group. Um, there was a couple of games that was like, yeah, back and forth, but they did eke out a strong victory,
Hmm.
which also incentivized them not to just be like, well, I'm losing, so I quit.
Okay,
Yeah.
salty bitch here.
Leap in.
Because this is wonderfully positive. Okay, and having run a fuck ton of tournaments for our previous gaming fetish War Machine, I didn't read the rubric. Was far too common as well. Now, I love our guys, and honestly, they outperformed all of my expectations. But not only were our players very pleased that our proctoring was no holds barred, absolute no bullshit, fuck around and find out. But they also very much openly said, I didn't read the rubric.
Hmm.
That ain't my fault. That genuinely ain't my fault. That ain't my problem. So our more customer care focused teammates, at least in this conversation, are worried about making things simple for our users. Our users didn't pay attention to anything either. So there's
I
that
found that
needs to be addressed. And I love the guys. I do. They gave us great feedback on so many things. That is quite literally my only gripe about the entirety of
I have a
the
gripe.
player experience.
I have a gripe from the player experience.
so is
And
it a general gripe or a
it's
team event
it
gripe?
is no, it's a general, but it's minor.
So we're
Um,
gonna have, I just want to I'm going to wrap a button on the team event real quick. My positive note for the team event is that no one dropped. Everyone,
Yes.
that was great. Everyone played through for the whole event, and we did get one of our goals of allowing the people here for the solo tournaments, the traditional main event at Nova, to team up and on alternating days play in the team event
mhm.
and try out a different format.
That
Uh,
setup was fucking cool.
was successful. So I thought that was also really successful as players had a chance to spend their weekend trying 2 different flavors of game and get a lot of reps in different ways and formats. So I thought that
And
was actually really successful. That is
was
my
also really well
that's my
received.
sandwich of good, bad, good. So places to improve, some good solid ideas to work from.
You are
So
so positive. It's so
I
wonderful.
know it's just ugh, I'm getting a cavity.
People are going to see this.
Yeah, no
I
one's gonna
want to
really
be
Yes, so
see
they can
it.
positive.
see your face, so they're gonna follow it to your face, not mine.
So
Mwahaha!
my
Anyway,
my
Did your
small
camera
gripe.
really not work? Okay.
no, my camera actually
General
really
gripe.
doesn't work,
You
sadly.
shut the hell up. You, so my small
Go
gripe.
ahead.
Um, had people fill out the forms and their names were so sloppy you couldn't really make out anything that was written.
Welcome to being a school teacher.
And then it turned
Don't worry
into
about
like, I don't understand why this gets messed up. Dude, like I can't read your name. I can't read what you put down. Like, yeah,
Arthritic spiders have better handwriting. I understand.
it was just like, okay, when you for your TO like experience, please like make sure everything's legible and you'll make them very happy. Other good things, the tables, like we got lots of praise on the tables.
Hopefully, we'll be
Um,
better next year.
it was a
and
lot
they'll
of
be
work. They're
they're gonna be
going to
better
keep
next
getting
year.
better.
Oh,
And
it was a whole lot of work. It was well done.
spoilers, we're gonna probably be doing it next year too. Uh,
Sorry
and
for those who don't immediately react with joy. We're doing it
oh,
again.
why are
Stop
we
us.
doing this? Several nights it was basically we got the table set up the next day, went out, got food, came back. We're like, we're gonna party, and by party we mean just lay down in bed and die.
That was
uh,
a party.
uh, Two, our players were awesome. Like really, a lot of them were like, even though some tilted, they came back. They still had fun. We had lots of people there who were just like, I'm just here to play and have fun, and they just enjoyed everything.
We do have
Couple.
a really to expand on something you mentioned there. We had a player with a pretty bad negative player experience on day one of the events, but they came back, and I found out through chatter with folks in Huzzah Hobbies Discord for MCP that the opponent he played in that first round, they actually got a rematch at the event the next day.
Oh, nice.
And so both of them sat back down and played another game that they both thoroughly enjoyed. And the player who had the negative experience did come back and say, I'm glad we had a chance to get a rematch so I could just play you again and put a different ending on that interaction.
Yeah, it was
So that
just
was
a
mm,
bad, like, even
great
like when
event.
they told us, like, it was like, wow, you came up here really quick. Even when they told us what happened, it was just like, ooh, that's just a really advantageous swing in your favor. Like, that
Mhm.
doesn't really happen very often.
Oh yeah,
Um,
fate just screwed. Just screwed the guy. It was
Yeah.
bizarre.
Other things, the
Ooh, actually, can I mention something about tables, like a general
sure.
observation? So we had a lot of tables. We had 32 tables we set up for the event with a variety of terrain acquired by us creating it ourselves with 3D printing and painting, buying it off of other hobbyists or some of our own personal stuff.
And now
Oh, my
living in
One
your
of
spine.
basement.
one of our takeaways, I think you even have some of mine yet. One of our takeaways that we heard from many people is that the community in general seems to be uh, pretty negatively down on overhangs in general. So that is one
Yeah,
thing to go forward is overhanging terrain tends to complicate the game more than it's worth for the way the tables look. So
yeah,
that is feedback heard and received. We're going to see if we can't either replace or utilize some of the terrain in ways to eliminate that problem. We're not going to promise standard square shapes, heavens no, but we
Oh
are
yeah,
going
that ain't happening.
to try to get rid of overhangs.
yeah.
And
Second,
I actually got a fix for several of those, so we're in good shape.
the second general feedback I heard for a lot of terrain isn't necessarily related to our terrain in particular, but a general problem with the game right now is people are really tired of New York City terrain. So there's definitely fatigue for that table setting. Um, like I know, like one comment combining the two of them is we had a Buddha temple board that people really enjoyed. Um, they said it looks great, but it was for some people it was a negative play experience because you could go through the archways and it created overhangs like that, and they didn't know how to handle it at the table.
But you couldn't put
Now,
anything on top of it because nothing would fit on top of it.
it's one of those
Oh,
things where I wish they had just, asked a TO for clarification on what the intended role play was or had notified us at the time, but that's still something to be noted is that even things like gates can irritate people. So something we're going to try to look into is we want to have wonderfully thematic tables for you to engage in games outside of the standards of city terrain. But we're also going to be looking for ways to sort of work with the community for, okay, let's calm down a bit about you guys can figure this out. It's not going
Y'all,
to be a huge issue.
And we do
uh,
want to mention one thing. Jake, you did come
two
up with a great
things.
idea. And by the way, you also did a great job leading the whole thing.
Yeah, Fearless Leader did an amazing job.
Yeah, praise me more.
Okay. Your idea on the taking the pictures and actually marking the things on the pictures to show people what terrain and what size they were
It was
was
brilliant.
brilliant, and everyone seemed to really enjoy it because
Yeah, I
they
only heard
sat
two
down at the
complaints.
table, they immediately looked at the sheet and went, "Oh, these trees are twos, these things are threes." And there was no question, and people jumped right into the game. There was no real discussion about what the train size was. There was no picking it up. It was all right there, and people loved it.
So thank you for indulging me running around going, no, we need these pictures.
Even though I said we no, we don't. Yes, yeah, we did.
It was fucking brilliant. It was fucking brilliant and wonderfully done. And I am 75% of the way of getting that Quinjet on a table. It's happening, sweetie. It's getting happening, and
Good
nobody's
luck.
gonna whine about overhangs. It'll be great.
Uh,
We did do something horrible.
oh,
Several.
yeah,
Um,
we made genuine mistakes. I
no,
will.
no, we made
Oh,
no mistakes. No.
one very genuine mistake I'll claim full acknowledgement of is there was confusion around cutting for our top tables on the first 2 days for the finals. There was miscommunication on the first day of how many people were moving on, and there were some very negative experiences from folks who thought they were making the cut but found out at the last minute that they weren't. I apologize for that. That was entirely on me. I mixed up the number of seats with what we had listed in the handbook. Part of that again goes to making sure we review what we've communicated in advance and make sure we're consistent throughout the event. So we're going to be sort of redoubling our focus on what materials players have in advance and then reviewing them amongst the team to make sure stuff like that doesn't come up again the next time we're at an event.
Yeah. Also,
So
This is why you're a TO and I'm only a judge, man.
yeah, I
Because
think
you're kind and you think about everybody, and I'm like, yeah, no.
the other thing we need to do is we need to tell the date the cutoff is.
hmm.
Because we said the date was this cutoff, and then apparently there was an errata that either we missed or it came out after, and people thought a
Came out
card was
after.
gone, and it was
So
just like,
it did not come. So there was an errata for specific tactic cards of Deception on Mystique. That caught us off guard because the errata sheet that we had grabbed at our stated cutoff date from AMG's site did not list it, but they had apparently updated the list on a forum or other non. It wasn't in the download link, and
hmm
people have said that's a known thing with AMG's site where they don't change the file names properly, and sometimes the wrong file is what's available.
Weh.
My corollary to that is in the last week, AMG has re-released and redesigned their entire website from the top down
yeah.
Cool.
with a lot of new announcements and releases. So I'm going to chalk that up to clearly AMG was not prioritizing anything on their site for the last several months. That one I'm going to acknowledge we made the mistake.
It didn't really
I'm
come up.
also going to give a little bit of kindness to us of just like, come on, AMG, this is your game. Don't make us dig through forums or internet resources to find out the latest rules. My
Oh,
expectation that it's on your site 100% should have been accurate.
oh yeah. Also, AMG, do us a
What are we
favor.
going to do about
Send us your send us some swag. We're actually missing the Sentinels kit, so we can't do a Sentinels event next time and show everything off at Nova
it?
Open.
We're going to work some of our contacts and see if we can't get a little more direct contact.
And we are getting
Kinky.
more. The new mats they did provide were
We're
gorgeous.
excellent. Like
They
the
look
Oh
Danger
yeah.
Room mat and the Wakanda mat both look great.
great.
Oh, and those beautiful what is it, 40 by 40 square corrugated plastic mat
Those are nice.
boards. Absolutely brilliant.
We're stealing that.
Yeah, that's getting stolen like nobody's business. I've already sourced most of the plastic. I just am quite literally price comparison at the moment.
Nice.
We'll have those in the next few weeks.
Another big question that we kind of ran into some friction. James, I feel like you were about to say something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to thank our wonderful photographer who
Mhm.
kept running in and taking pictures and stealing our beer.
Photographer Fest, you took
Photographer.
that well.
I I will also take this opportunity to build off of that and thank the Nova General team. A lot of our success came with support from the Nova Open Administrative Council, executive bodies. Owen
Absolutely.
Best, the lead for Nova Open, Ben Cash, their prize support coordinator, uh, Frank, who unfortunately I don't have his last name in front of me, who was the sort of coordinator for all setup and teardown and general facilities. All of them were excellent. They were responsive and they worked with us to make the event as successful as it was. So, huge shout out to the Nova team. I'm excited to continue working with them in future events.
So last thoughts.
Um, One continuing thing we're going to keep circling as we ran into some friction back and forth is time. We do run timed events. We also made the decision not to inform players of the time remaining, which
That
was
was
not
cool.
terribly popular.
That was
But
cool.
It was cool
Watching
though.
them sweat.
we had reasons for it. But in the future, it's worth meriting another discussion for the simple reason that while our intent was to try to not incentivize players to change behavior as time got closer, everyone's got phones. Everyone knows how long the round is. So it's also kind of a moot gesture.
But we also just didn't. We weren't like, all right, time called. Everyone put down their dice. Immediately done. It was time was called. Finish the round.
Yeah.
So
Which
it wasn't like anyone was really missing out, and then it was just like, cool, if your round went 15 minutes over the end of call, then we were like, finish up the turn, and
Yeah.
it's done. But we
So
kept on
for the
time
most
pretty
part,
well.
we kept on time pretty well.
I
So again, kudos to the players for working with us and understanding on that one. A connected discussion for future events, if you are thinking of running any time term of this nature, is chess clocks. Um, Chess clocks are kind of a controversial point that were brought up as solutions to some of the problems we had tried to address with not notifying players. And we're not, I can't commit to anything on that one yet. We have to kind
I've
of
got like 6.
more. Oh, we have them. That's not the issue. It's just using them is
Yeah.
sometimes it's additional overhead and leads to more contention on managing time. So that's one of the
I'd
reasons.
rather make prettier boards and nicer boards than have chess clocks.
Yes, please let us make prettier
Unless,
boards. Don't be
unless you
heels.
build the clocks into the boards.
Ah, you bastard.
Look at me go.
I
Um, on kind
Okay,
of a fun note, I want to spend the last few minutes, if I may, talking about our finals and some stats.
Oh, cool. Stats.
I'm gonna go take a
We're
nap.
nerds. We want statistics.
So, in our final top 8 tournament, there were 6 games of Hellfire Club, led by Emma, and 6 games of Guardians, led by Star-Lord. The next closest was Avengers games with a number of various leaders. But one of our big takeaways from the event, who did we see a lot of? Day 1, Kingpin, Criminal Syndicate, the dominant factor in that first solo tournament, followed closely by Guardians with Star-Lord. So why have Guardians picked up the pace? One, Guardians were always pretty good. They never quite went anywhere. But 2 major additions that we saw, Beta Ray Bill.
Mm-hmm.
On the final day, with 8 players, 7 of them brought Beta Ray Bill, regardless of whether what affiliation they were playing necessarily.
Cyborg horse
It
is good.
turns out the horse is good, and kind of digging into a little bit why, people are just like, he's got a generic list of attributes that kind of mash together. He's got a little damage reduction, he's got power generation, he has a medium throw. He's kind of just for a threat 4, he does enough right and has enough of solid attributes that like everywhere until something rotates him out. We saw a lot of Cosmic Ghost Rider, proving if you make a model so overwhelmingly powerful that it doesn't matter that it can't interact with objectives every turn, turns out they'll still take it. That is another factor for I think why we saw so much of Guardians was Ghost Rider is affiliated Guardians and Black Order. Black Order itself also had a resurgence. There were several Black Order players. At least a couple of them hung on all the way to the end of the event. For tactics cards, there were 2 tactics cards that every player brought: Fallback and Eyes on the Prize. I initially dismissed Fallback as I don't get this. Fallback is when you are hit by an attack, you can play this card to move backwards, move short. I think the specific phrasing on it made it seem like basically you don't mitigate any of the damage, you still take all of the damage. As I quickly realized early in the week, I drastically underestimated how useful that is when your opponent has follow up attacks. Did your
Oh yeah.
opponent cheat or hurl themselves to get in a position to attack twice? Say no. Did they knock you off of a point? I'll have to double check whether you actually have to move backwards and fall back. Are they trying to pull you in closer to set you up for the next model to activate? Tell them to shove off. Are they trying to get your objective runner into range for Corvus to finish you off? Again, same scenario. Tell them to shove off. Eyes on the prize, very simple, very effective. You interact at range 2 instead of 1. Turns out that is key to a lot of very clutch objective plays and turn 1 scenario work.
No, yeah, it saves you from having to bring Toad.
Yeah. Although Toad still made appearances. I can actually.
Yeah.
Toad was in 2 of our lists for the finals.
Um, day
But
2.
well, hold on. To fall back, the literal text is as current. When an allied character is attacked before damage is dealt, may spend 2 to play this card. This may advance short away from the attacking character.
Okay, so you
So
have
as
to go.
long as it's away from, that's powerful.
It's good stuff. Do.
Day 2. Day 2.
All right, fine. Day 2.
All the Malekiths.
Pretty much every Malekith player came out for day 2 of our solo event. In the final, Malekith was still in 2 of our rosters for the top 8. Oh, I guess I should point out, even though I said there were 6 games total in the final event for Hellfire Club and Guardians, there were only 2 players that brought each of those things. So just again, 8-person tournament. We're just kind of looking at total games for affiliation use as our statistical measure. But of that, other top contenders for who got brought a bunch, Bullseye was in 3 rosters. I don't know how many games he got played in, but he was
He
there.
was on. I saw him on at least 3 tables, so he must have been
Yeah.
in at least 3 games.
Dr. Voodoo was in 4 of the lists. He's still good, turns out. Luke Cage was in 3 of the lists.
And
Luke
Luke Cage is
Cage has
weirdly
been
popular.
quietly picking up steam again, it feels like to me. Or he never left. I just don't have a lot of experience with him on the table yet. Finally, some just what crises got played the most or what got brought with the most lists. Riot Spark over Extremis got brought in 5 of our lists. So that was interesting to see that classic original core set scenario still getting play. Still getting a lot of play. Legacy Virus Cured was at 4 lists. Scrolls were in 4 lists.
Yeah.
And Superpowered Scoundrels and Research Station were also in 4 lists. So it's very much scenarios is a thing I don't have a good head for of knowing what my list is going to be better or worse at in terms of dealing, in terms of like placement and distances and reps to know what your opening moves are going to be for a given affiliation in a certain scenario setup. So this is one I'm still going to confess is just mystifies me.
Oh, Nathan, final thoughts.
Not enough Sentinels. What?
Okay.
You knew that was coming. You knew it was coming. No, it was really interesting to see the swing in how folks were playing on the final on day 2. Now, honestly, there was some overlap in players on day 2 as well, so we know that they had. Oh, I played you. I have an idea on how you're going to play. Oh, I played you. I have an idea how you're going to play. So there is that, but there was just some swing in the the technique of everybody playing over the course of the 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was very happy to see, like, even though we said, oh, Emma Frost just dominated them over list and so did Guardian, there was a full spread of models. Um, a lot of people were just coming out and playing what they wanted to play. This was fun. I want to try this. It was great. We had people come up and do demos. And as much as we were tired, it was a blast running games for everyone, answering questions, setting up tables, and making sure you guys had fun. It was a blast for us also.
My final thoughts. I don't know. It was like you said. I think you set it up. It was a joy to run. We're gonna learn, continue to grow, and make it even better next time. Also, Cabal was the people who had on the final day a 100% win rate for all of their games. They
You
played one.
kidding?
They played one game and they won it.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Criminal Syndicate had a 0% win rate. They played one game in the final tournament and they lost. I don't know what that means for James in particular, but it gives me joy.
Game off.